Something impossible just happened. CERN fired a radiation pulse into deep space, and 9 minutes later, something fired back in pure mathematics. Not sound, not noise, but equations that shouldn't exist, precise beyond human creation. A reply that broke the speed of light and possibly reality itself. Whatever answered from 3i Atlas didn't just hear us, it understood us. And what it sent back wasn't a message. It was a warning written in the language of the universe. It started like any other test, routine, unremarkable, and buried under mountains of technical paperwork. CERN engineers were running what appeared to be a frequency calibration, radiating a narrowband pulse outward to measure cosmic background interference. But buried inside that test was a secondary signal, a mathematical sequence based on prime numbers. To most observers, it looked like ordinary background noise, but to anyone listening with intent, it carried structure. Days later, internal memos leaked to scientific circles hinted that this wasn't just calibration, it was an attempt to provoke a response. The signal was directed precisely at 3i Atlas, an object traveling through the solar system at a strange, almost self-correcting trajectory. 9 minutes later, the receivers in Geneva lit up with data so pure, so symmetrical it couldn't be natural. What returned wasn't light reflected off cosmic dust. It was information, encoded, layered, deliberate. For years, physicists have speculated that mathematics would be the only universal language intelligent civilizations could share. But no one expected a reply, and definitely not this fast. The experiment was supposed to take weeks of quiet observation, not 9 minutes of panic and disbelief. By the time the signal stabilized, every monitor in the control room was flashing in unison, recording numbers too precise to be random. What came next would shake even the most skeptical minds. The 9-minute reply broke the first commandment of physics. Nothing travels faster than light. Based on the object's distance, roughly 80 million miles, a round trip for a light-speed signal should have taken 30 minutes. Yet here it was, exactly 9 minutes and 22 seconds later, responding with a forceful, consistent stream. At first, scientists blamed interference, maybe a reflection from a satellite or signal bounce inside the atmosphere. But the data was clean, so clean it carried more precision than any man-made transmission ever recorded. Whatever 3i Atlas was, it didn't just hear the message, it understood it. When decoded, the first string of data aligned with one of the universe's most sacred numbers, the fine structure constant, alpha, a value that defines how light and matter interact. Only this version of the constant had been measured to a precision humanity had never achieved, down to the 10^2th decimal place. The implication was horrifying. Whoever, or whatever, sent it understood the universe far better than we do. The room fell silent as physicists stared at the sequence, realizing the reply wasn't just fast, it was intentional. And the timing itself felt like a statement, a defiance of Einstein, a quiet display of dominance, as if to say, your rules don't apply here. As researchers pored over the returned signal, something else emerged from the static, a series of patterns forming three-dimensional geometries. When visualized, they resembled interlocking spheres and waveforms rotating through 11 axes. These weren't artistic accidents. They followed strict mathematical logic, folding and unfolding in predictable intervals. Supercomputers struggled to replicate them, often crashing mid-simulation. The deeper scientists went, the clearer it became. This wasn't a random reply, it was a design. Within those shapes, subtle ratios hinted at methods of manipulating quantum fields, essentially bending the properties of spacetime itself. The data described a machine, an engine capable of warping geometry and energy as if they were physical tools. To some, it looked like the blueprint of a drive that could make light speed seem primitive. To others, it was a trap, a test of whether we'd misuse what we couldn't understand. Late-night meetings turned into silent arguments. Was it safe to even keep decoding this? Still, The team continued, unaware that buried beneath those calculations lay something even stranger, a message not in symbols but in behavior. The mathematical signal didn't just transmit numbers, it shifted them, almost as if it were adapting to our analysis in real time. Every time scientists reprocessed the data, a new layer appeared, suggesting recursive encryption or multidimensional compression. Hidden within was a pattern describing the relationship between time dilation and electromagnetism, something that shouldn't even exist in known physics. Whoever built this knowledge didn't just observe the universe, they controlled it. As the equations unfolded, they pointed toward an unsettling truth. The fine structure constant wasn't merely a number to this intelligence, it was a variable. To them, light itself could be altered like a waveform. Reality wasn't fixed, it was adjustable. Some physicists whispered that the entire message was demonstrating a principle, not communicating one. We don't talk with words, we talk with physics. That realization chilled the entire team. Yet before they could decode more, the data abruptly stopped. Then came one final burst, a small string of coordinates. When those coordinates were plotted, astronomers expected to find a star system, maybe the origin of the message. Instead, they pointed to a blank patch of sky known as the Boötes Void. It's one of the largest known empty regions in the universe, nearly 330 million light-years across, containing almost no galaxies. To send a signal from there was statistically impossible, yet the data was clear. Something in that cosmic desert had replied. The implications were staggering. The Boötes Void isn't just empty, it's unnaturally so, as if something removed what once existed there. Some theorists speculated that this wasn't a destination but a boundary, a space where reality itself thins. If 3I Atlas acted as a relay, the void could be the true source, a place where light and time behave differently, a domain beyond our comprehension. It was no longer a mystery about a comet, it was a question about existence. Who or what resides in the silence between galaxies? The next discovery came from deep space telescopes. 3I Atlas wasn't behaving like a rock or comet. Its motion subtly adjusted against gravitational pull, like it was steering. Its tail emissions didn't match chemical models. It radiated energy signatures consistent with structured plasma. The object wasn't reflecting sunlight, it was transmitting. That's when physicists proposed something extraordinary. 3I Atlas wasn't the sender, but the hardware, a kind of interstellar relay, a probe designed to collect and forward messages across unimaginable distances. If that were true, then the 9-minute reply made sense. The comet might not have generated the signal. It routed it through something far beyond it, perhaps through a wormhole-like channel stabilized by its own energy field. The idea was terrifyingly elegant, an ancient cosmic infrastructure hidden in plain sight. A galaxy-spanning network where comets, dust, and interstellar debris serve as repeaters for civilizations so old they don't even inhabit planets anymore. Earth hadn't contacted another world. It had accidentally pinged the universe's ancient switchboard. As weeks passed, the decoding team began to notice something subtle, patterns within the equations that mirrored human logic tests. It was as if the message wasn't teaching us, it was testing us. The filter hypothesis was born. According to this theory, advanced civilizations don't reach out with invitation, they send riddles. Only those capable of understanding the physics behind the riddle are deemed ready. Those who fail either ignore it or destroy themselves trying to use it. The 9-minute reply wasn't arrogance, it was an evaluation, a cosmic IQ test delivered in the purest language of existence, mathematics. Philosophers called it the cosmic filter. To some, it meant hope that we had been noticed. To others, it was a warning that the test had already begun. Perhaps civilizations far older than ours had also received their own mathematical mirrors, and most didn't survive their curiosity. CERN's discovery, if it ever reached the public, could destabilize everything: religion, politics, even the foundations of science. And yet one chilling question remained unanswered. If it truly was a test, who was watching? Then came nothing. After the 3-second transmission, 3I Atlas fell completely silent. No echo, no pulse, no trace of electromagnetic activity. It drifted onward through space as if nothing had happened. Scientists waited days, then weeks. Nothing returned. It was as if the message was over and humanity had failed to notice its deeper purpose. But some researchers began to suspect the silence was the answer. Silence wasn't absence, it was judgment. Maybe the intelligence had seen enough. Today, no official record of the signal exists. Every trace of the event vanished behind classified walls, buried in encrypted CERN servers. But those who worked on it described the same feeling, that the universe had measured us and moved on. Maybe we were never supposed to understand. Maybe comprehension was the next step of evolution itself. If the cosmos truly replied to CERN in mathematics, the question now isn't whether we should answer back. It's whether we were ever meant to be part of the conversation.